Don't make selfies in front of the memorial of murdered Jews in Berlin. If you're outside of your home country, you are the one with the accent. We don't tip here. You are making it worse for all of us. The servers get paid according to their skill level, many above the minimum wage, but they are starting to get pissy when locals don't tip them for their mediocre service. Be careful what you're saying in a public place. We all speak English. We all understand you. Africa is a continent made up of 54 different countries. I'm from Kazakhstan. Eating horse is part of our culture. The same way you do not offend people in France when they eat frogs, the same way please don't offend Kazakhs when they eat meat. We led a nomadic lifestyle, and since in the steppes you could not farm, cattle was the main source of food. During the Great Purge in Kazakhstan, cattle was taken away from us in Russians' attempt to progress our agriculture. It didn't work and many tried to migrate, but failed due to dehydration and starvation. Over 1 million Kazakhs died during that period. That's 40% of the population. It made us a minority group in our own country up until the 1990s. You do not have to eat it, nor is anyone forcing you to, but making rude remarks on it is uncalled for, especially since now the majority of youth understand Russian, Kazakh, and English. Don't buy bottled water. Well, maybe buy one and then just refill it at literally every bathroom sink you come across, and the quality will be just as good. Iceland. Don't ask why we use the Russian alphabet in Bulgaria. We don't. If anything, the Russians use the Bulgarian alphabet. Cyrillic was invented in medieval Bulgaria centuries before Russia was even on the map. Here, the customer is not always king. We speak Portuguese in Brazil, not Spanish. If you are visiting East Europe and you are black, don't mind the weird looks. People are not racist. They are surprised because some of them haven't ever seen a non-white person. To answer for any fellow study abroad kids going to New Zealand, them calling you a cun is endearing, not offensive. I'm tiny, so not one to pick a fight with a giant Maori guy calling me a good cun, but some of my asshole college cohorts apparently took offense to it and didn't understand the context at all. New Zealand is the coolest place in the world, to the point where you have to fight to get citizenship there. If a Kiwi is saying, "G'day ya cun," you're in good standing. I remember having old ladies at gas stations calling me a cheeky cun. It's a totally different word out in the middle of nowhere. How the metric system works. We don't sell beer in ounces for feck's sake. Paris isn't France. France isn't Paris. Don't think you know France if you only went to Paris. Most of the country's really different. It's Edinburgh, not Edinburgh. Also, it's sweet that you are coming to Scotland to connect with your ancestors and stuff. Well, I think it is. But a lot of Scots you'll speak to will be thinking, here we go again. If you talk about it to them, especially if you actually describe yourself as Scottish, and your clan tartan is not really, well, real. Tartans being associated with specific families and clans is a Victorian fabrication, since they love romanticizing about that era. Don't buy into it that much. Amsterdam, Holland, the Netherlands. Get out of Amsterdam. There are many places that are much nicer than that touristic hellhole. Don't call the country Holland, it's called the Netherlands. It's nothing personal, but Norwegians aren't as into hugging as you guys. Sometimes you come off a bit molesty to us, clearly without meaning to in any way. We like you. We'll like you better if you vaguely shrug in our general direction, rather than go for actual physical contact. High fives are fine. High fives. Germany is more than just bratwurst and lederhosen. That's just fecking Bavaria. German culture is so much more. German Brit in Germany here, assuming that it doesn't just have to be one thing, based on personal experience with Americans here. 1. No, The Second World War is not the first and foremost thing on our minds. Yes, we're grateful for the sacrifice that American soldiers made in World War II. No, we are not grateful to you personally for being vaguely related to one of these soldiers, or just being American. Our gratitude is limited to those who participated in the Omaha beach raids. Anyone old enough to have done that is probably not fit enough to make the trip to Germany these days. 2. Not everyone here speaks English, and of those that do, not everyone speaks enough English to tell you what you eat what. Speaking slower might help, shouting won't. You'll make a lot of friends simply by making an effort to speak German, even if your pronunciation is a bit laughable. 3. We do have freedom of speech for the most part. The only major prior restraint is against public advocacy of National Socialism. If you're going to do that, we don't want you here anyway. We also have a flag code, and it's largely the same as the American one. Freedom of speech doesn't mean that we tolerate assholes. Don't be one. 4. Bielefeld doesn't exist. Don't let anyone else convince you otherwise. If you believe that you happen to be in Bielefeld, you have been subjected to hallucinatory mind control. You can't do Scottish accents. It doesn't matter how many times you've seen Braveheart. No American has ever been able to do a convincing Scottish accent. England isn't sunny, so don't complain about the rain. Canadians don't apologize all the time because we're afraid of you. We apologize all the time because we're polite. Also, not all of us say a boot because we're Canadian, eh? The people on the East Coast only kind of sound like that, and only on the East Coast. Literally, no one here talks like Cheech and Chong. Asking for bullfighting or flamenco dances in Barcelona is like expecting every citizen of Texas to wear Eskimo robes. Yes, same country, but we have no fecking clue about those things. I'm from Sweden. Please take your shoes off before you enter someone's home. Edit. I've gotten a lot of comments saying that not all Americans do this. I know, but enough do it for me to notice. It doesn't seem all that uncommon. Don't invite someone over for drinks, for dinner, and then expect them not to come. If you make an invitation, it's a promise to keep it as well. What I mean is that when someone says, for example, let's have drinks on Friday, without actually meaning it. Where I come from, Finland, if I would say this to someone, we would actually get in touch again later that week, or latest on Friday, and decide on the time and place. From American perspective, it seems to be just something that is said out of courtesy, without meaning the plan will actually take place. I'm from Taiwan, and I once met a student from the University of Miami. He's come here as an exchange student for 1 year, and I took him sightseeing around Taipei. Our first stop was Taipei 101, one of the tallest buildings in the world. And when we passed by a supermarket, he saw some electric toothbrushes and he said to me, "I didn't know you'd brush your teeth here." I almost forgot he also gave another Taiwanese student an English name since he didn't have one. Reminded me of Robinson Crusoe and Friday.